Hi everyone, welcome to, I'm not sure what class 60, we're close to it. Tanya, L'chaim. This one's for you, Michael J. Because he's been watching, he's gonna be watching, so hopefully you say L'chaim when you watch with us. So we have to give it an introduction because the beginning of the parak is very, very heavy. At the end of chapter 19, the Alter Rebbe said that every Jew wants to be connected to Hashem, and if it comes to a point where a Jew is offered the choice to convert or to die, every Jew will make the choice to die because no Jew wants to be separated from Hashem. And then chapter 20, Alter Rebbe says that really we can channel this into every mitzvah. But the question is how? Conversion is something like high level, right? You can understand. But if I decide today not to put on tefillin, what, I'm not Jewish anymore? I mean, conversion, I understand, it's right out in my face, but if I don't learn, right, if I do something I'm not supposed to,
conversion, when it comes to converting to another religion that is not Judaism, is more of a, I'm not saying it's common, but I'm saying it's easier, right?
Why? Easier to convert?
You dip in a pool or something and you're done, right?
No, but how does a person live with himself?
That okay, of course. I mean,
I don't know personally,
but
that question. People, I read.
So you said something.
Good thinkers.
No, but a Jew is what you are, not what you do. It's what you are. The what, the essence, the DNA. You put a Jew under a microscope, you see Jew.
Yes.
You see a Gentile under a microscope, you see a Gentile. It's what you are. You can't.
Bad rabbi talked with a lesbian woman and explained to her that idea.
So what?
You are a Jew. What you do in your time is what you do, but who
Right.
you are.
Yeah, you can't be more Jew, less Jew. Observant
woman.
Yeah, a more observant or less observant is not more Jew, less Jew. It's more expressive of a Jew or less expressive of a Jew. It's not so. Let's say, you have two boys. One calls the mother every day, and one calls the mother, on their birthday. Is one more of a son than the other? No. Right? One maybe expresses their relationship better, and one, but it doesn't. But the Alter Rebbe is saying over here is we can kind of use that thinking that just as conversion, a person will choose death over conversion because I'm not going to go. A person's going to say to himself, "I'm not going to go and sever my relationship 100% with God, so I'd rather die." And we can use that line of thinking to say that every mitzvah severs our relationship with God. But now the Alter Rebbe has to say, but how does every relationship equal idolatry? Because that's what, right? Conversion is idolatry.
Wait, did you just say every mitzvah severs our...
Every avera severs.
Oh, every avera.
Severs our relationship with God to a degree.
Right, you're right.
Right, and every mitzvah enhances it. Now, where does the mitzvah of idolatry come from? Basically from two different statements that God made to the Jewish people. In mass, all the Jewish people heard this. First one of the 10 commandments was, I am God. Number two was, you can't have any other gods. Right? Meaning it's not enough to say, I believe in God, but I believe he has his minions, or his son, his ghost, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? There's one guy, one boss.
That's it.
That's it. So Alter Rebbe started saying that every mitzvah every positive mitzvah is included in the first commandment, I am God, and every negative commandment is included in the mitzvah of you should not have any other idols. The question is how?
Any other idols or
Wow.
I mean, any other gods.
All the love.
All the love are included in that. That's why we're obligated by it because the other commandments were said by Moshe to us. God said it to Moshe from number 3, where Hashem says you should not take God's name in vain. Last class we said the first two commandments are in the second person. I am your God. You should have any of the idols. Starting from commandment number 3 is you should take God's name in vain. Keep God's Shabbos, right? It's third person. There's a difference. But a person couldn't say, listen, God didn't tell me he didn't tell me to keep Shabbos. He told Moshe, right? But we said no. All the positives are included in number 1. All the negatives are included in number 2. You should not have any other gods. Question is how? How do we get to that conclusion? So the Rebbe started to say like this: it's important to remind ourselves that creation. When I work, I'm a rabbi, but when I work, after a while, it tires you. I don't know if I told you the story. Then Tzell and I were younger. We're still young, but we're younger. And on Shabbos afternoon, after services, I'd conk out.
Yeah.
And Cyril, and here there were young kids at home, and Cyril also wanted to sleep on Shabbos. And she would say, "It's not fair. How come on Shabbos you sleep and I?" It's almost like it's almost as it's abgefragt. It's unquestionable you're gonna sleep. I said, "I'm not doing it because I don't care about you." I said, "But you don't understand what it takes out of me to daven, to speak, to read. Just I can't. I'm falling off my face, right? Because when you work, it's interesting. 6 days you should work, 7 days you should rest. For me, I work on Saturdays and 6 days. I watch Netflix. God forbid. So to us, when we work, there's an impact on us. We're doing something. No matter how strong you are, how great you are, whatever it is, it impacts you. But we said last week was when the Eibishter created the world, there was no impact on him. Nothing has changed. So just like he was here before the world was created, he's still here since the world was created. Nothing has changed him. And what the Alter Rebbe is going to go on to say now is, why do we sin? You know it's wrong, right? Let's say you know it's wrong. I mean, let's say a person never got a Jewish education, he has no idea. Putting those people aside, let's say you know it's wrong. Why do you do it? Either it's one of the few reasons. Either you think God's not looking, God doesn't care.
It's the evil inclination.
What does evil inclination tell you? Evil inclination convinces you.
It's telling you it's okay. It literally makes you feel like it's okay.
But let me ask you a question like this. Let's say, if you can imagine, you were standing in God's presence, do you think you would still think it's okay?
No.
Obviously not, right? Let's say, obviously, you can't stand in God's
But
presence.
that's a different reality.
No, it's not. That's
When
exactly.
you see it, I'm a calm.
But that's exactly what the Alter Rebbe is saying is not. Let's say you were in the Beit HaMikdash, right? It's not a good example because some people did crazy bad things in the Beit HaMikdash. Do you know? Do you know murder was created? Do you know the prophet Yeshaya was murdered in the Beit HaMikdash by his own grandson in the chutzner, in the courtyard of the Beit HaMikdash? Do you know?
It's horrible what they did.
Can you imagine?
It's just horrible.
Why?
Because the Sinchin was second temple. Yeshaya was the first temple.
Oh, he was Shfichut Damim.
Why? Because he didn't like him. Because he was a prophet of Hashem telling him to shape up, and he wanted to keep, killing, plundering, raping, serving idols.
And killing.
Yeah,
I like that one.
yeah.
He was a prophet or a Kohen?
Who? Yeshaya? Both.
Both.
Yeah.
They did some terrible stuff there.
In the Beit HaMikdash. So it's not a perfect example, but let's say to us, we're many times we think, oh, our forefathers are so much better than us, and we're so miserable. They did some terrible things too, and we would think, oh, we would never do that in Beit HaMikdash. People did some terrible things, but let's say, right? It's not a perfect example, but let's say you wanted to steal, right? And you're in the Beit HaMikdash. It's interesting if you learn in the Mishnah, they had Beit HaMikdash they had charity boxes and things. Everything was in a lock and key, and not only that, the person when he went out to extract money to pay for things, he had to go with a robe or shirt with no pockets and no like deep sleeves we can sleep. And they always spoke to him. This way he didn't take gold and put it into his. You would think in the Beit HaMikdash, right? I mean, but human beings are human beings. But let's say, for example, right? You're in the Beit HaMikdash. Would you steal? Yeah, I'd like to think no. Let's say you were in the holy, right, where the menorah was. Right? I'm going to steal in the holiest place. I would think about. Okay, it's a very bad example because ultimately, it happened. In the Holy of Holies, right, in front of the Ark. Would you think about something? No, because you're in front of God's presence. But why 100 meters this way outside the Beit HaMikdash. By the Kotel, you have to be holy. You walk up the stairs, go to hell, right? What do you mean? Before a second ago, you were all God and Venusha, Shalom Rumov. At all time, it says, "Where's my falafel?" You go walk up the steps. There's the falafel place, right? What happened? Is God less? God's less, but that's what the Yetzer Hara does to us. Yetzer Hara does to us and said, God's in the show, God's in the ark. I'm saying that, or whatever it is, but God's not watching me. Think about the stupidity of that. But God is more there than here. There is no such thing. Why? Because ever since God created the world, what's changed? Nothing. To us, it's in our perception. Why? Because God created the world, and we're going to get into this.
So it's actually a good example if you think about it, because the people that lived in that time, they were Yirei Hashem. They were
in the second Beit HaMikdash, not the first.
Not in the first.
No, that's the problem.
So one thing I learned is that in both cases, they were Yirei Shamayim, but they created their own way of believing in God.
But I think that was more the first one.
The first one?
In the second temple, they were very religious.
Very
religious and very learned. That just tells you it's not the observance of the mitzvah. Observance of a mitzvah is worth nothing if there's no avat yisrael. It just tells you how much. In the first temple, they were killing, raping, plundering. They were serving idols, and the big three. There's the big three that someone comes over to you and says, "Do one of these three, or I'll kill you." You have to give up your life. Right, you have to give up your life. It's conversion, murder, and immoral relationships. In the first temple, they were, and they got chances. And they got chances and chances and chances. In the second temple, they were all religious. The greatest rabbis come from that time period, And and everybody was religious, but there was no Ahavas Yisrael. God says, no Ahavas Yisrael. You're not getting along.
Not worth anything.
I don't want to hear from you. Goodbye. Yeah, just think about, And one of the rabbis said, in the first temple, the sin was all these terrible things, but the prophet told us, and it was true, that we had the exile was a limited exile. They told us you're going to be kicked out of Israel for 70 years and you come back. In the 70 years, and the prophet Yirmiyahu tells us, right? In the second Beit HaMikdash, it was lack of brotherhood between Jews. Well, first of all, we see that Galut is still going on, but it never told us how long it's going to be, and we're still going. It just tells you how bad infighting is. You should know.
It says, I don't know where it said it, that every year that the Beit HaMikdash is not being built, it shows us that we're still
every day
it says we're still in Sinat Chinam, we're still hating our brothers. As if in the same way.
It says in the Gemara. There's a famous clip of the Rebbe. It was from the 3 weeks. It says in the Gemara that every day that the Beit HaMikdash is not rebuilt is as if it was destroyed. So everybody's screaming, what are you waiting for? Today, Thursday, Parshas Pinchas, I think it was 1988, says the Beit HaMikdash building is being destroyed. Why is everyone so calm? Caravelt, turn the world over. If you saw the Beit HaMikdash burning, you wouldn't do anything. You'd grab a fire extinguisher. Everyone's just standing around. I mean, yeah, it's very powerful words. It's a very famous. Anyway, getting off topic here a little bit. No, it's good, but it's anyway. Yeah. Anyway, no, but it's good as long as it's learning. Yeah. So one of the things that the Alter Rebbe explains is, how did God create the world? Through words. Now imagine I came over to you and I said, how you doing? I'm very tired. Why? Because yesterday I said 33 sentences, and you screamed it? No, I just said it. You just spoke it, and that's why you're tired. Obviously that sounds ridiculous. Saying 33 sentences bothers you. Not only that, imagine I asked you, do you remember? Your wife does, but do you remember what you said a week ago? No. Why? Because it's insignificant. God created the world through speech, which doesn't tire him out, and it's totally insignificant. So why should there be a change? Are you weaker or more tired because you said, read out 2 paragraphs? No, it doesn't say God screamed. It says God said, like we're speaking now, right? How many conversations did you have today? You don't remember. But how insignificant are words? Are you anyway changed, weaker because you had those conversations? No. So just like you haven't changed because of the conversation you had this morning, so too, God, just like He was present before, He's present now. So if God was standing here, would you steal? Of course not. Would you daven? Of course, yeah. So let's say a person does steal. What's he really saying? God's not here. Because you just said, if God was here, you wouldn't do it. So why are you doing it? Because God's not here. So it means you worship idols.
Does it mean that, by the way, not believing that God is here?
Yeah.
Does that mean?
But remember, the question we're saying is, how does stealing, for example, connect to idolatry? What does idolatry mean? Idolatry doesn't necessarily mean, we said this in the beginning, idolatry doesn't necessarily mean you don't believe in God at all. Let me ask you a question. By the way, this is the whole halachic debate. Is Christianity idolatry?
It is.
The debate, by the way.
Machlokes.
Well, let's take the Western church, because the Roman, the Greek, I don't know, the Russian Catholic Church,
And the Greek
and
Orthodox.
they're for sure idolatry, because they believe in relics and this and that and
No, but even JCPenney is like it's considered.
the store.
JCPenney.
The store, JCPenney. Or you just calling him that? Yeah,
You
JC.
shouldn't use the name.
Yeah, JC. Go JC. No, I'm talking.
JCPenney basically.
No.
That is idolatry on its own. No?
Why? I know it sounds like I'm coming from a
Because
rabbi. It
it's
sounds
not-
like a stupid
because
question.
It's not Hashem. It's because it's not God.
But that's not even the problem. The problem isn't that they believe He has power. The problem is you're not believing Hashem Echad. You understand? There is no other. Hashem Echad doesn't mean that He's the most powerful God.
You know, I did hear a few Christians that said there is one God, but this guy is our Mashiach.
Really? I didn't know they believed that way.
Maybe it's a new thing.
Asking me, I'm not
But
in that.
let's say that that's the case. Is that person considered idolatry?
No,
No,
I mean,
because they say there is one God. That person
so they don't believe in the
is
ghost
God's
and
word.
the Son and all that. They don't believe in that.
I don't know enough details.
Exactly.
to be-
I don't. That's not Christianity then, because by definition, Christianity means you attribute the divine power to that guy,
Something with that.
whatever. But I'm saying that's Christianity. If you don't attribute divine power to that guy, then it's not Christianity. No, I mean maybe I'm wrong. But so there's 2 parts of it to idolatry. People make this mistake. There's not believing in God, that He doesn't exist, which is a slap in the face, because what do you mean? I'm here. You woke up this morning. You're breathing. My ear. Right.
Okay. So I understand. So you're
I'm saying that's one
believing
part.
in the Big Bang, in a way, it's idolatry.
Well, it depends how you believe in the Big Bang. I also believe in the Big Bang.
Yes.
I believe God said there was, and bang, there was.
Exactly.
Because these people, see, that's not a good example. And the reason is because these people, you ask these people what happened before the Big Bang, or what caused the Big Bang to bang. So we don't know yet. Okay, so I do.
Yeah.
When you catch up,
Let me know.
you know, so we catch up. I mean, I'm an hour ahead in the movie. So when you catch up to where I'm holding, let me,
I used to use that
You know,
example. I used that example, gosh, a long time ago. I was talking with somebody, and they said, "Yeah, well, the Big Bang started the whole universe." And I said, "Okay, that's true. Where did that stuff that exploded
yeah,
to make the Big Bang come from?"
yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Exactly.
it must have come from God.
Well,
That's who made it.
I once heard of Rabbi Jacobson. I once heard this from him. He said, I mean, I don't know if he made it up or not, but I heard it from him, so I'll attribute it to him. He said, what does it bother people so much to believe in God? What's really behind it? Because if you think about it, it's more logical to believe in a first cause take the ethical part of it out of it for a second. In first cause, or intelligent design, then not to believe. To believe that it happened by itself is very illogical. Like I was having this discussion with the doctor once, about I don't know what God exists. I was in his office. I said, so you're telling me everything on this side of the wall in your office has a manufacturer? Obviously it's your office at a desk, but everything on the other side of the window happened on its own? I said, do you realize how ridiculous you sound? It doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense to believe that there is a creator than there isn't. Like Manish Friedman says, we don't have to prove God exists. The fact that God exists has been a belief for humanity for thousands of years. You're the new idea on the block. You have to prove that he doesn't.
Where did God come from? Then? We don't know either.
But again,
something.
If I say,
there
but
that
yeah,
makes
but
no sense.
no. But you're right. That's what's called belief. Yeah. Ultimately, you have to let your intellect go. Yeah. You're right. Ultimately, you got to let your intellect go. That's why we believe in him, because he's a different kind of being. But so there's one idea that believing that God exists. But most people throughout history believed that a supreme being exists. The problem where a lot of people had was they believed that God needed help, right? Or like the Egyptians believed in the God, the sun, the Ra, whatever it is. There's a God of the sun, or the Greek mythology, the God of the oceans, and this and that. If you think about it, it makes sense, because a president has a cabinet, and why would such a great God care about such infantile and minuscule beings? He doesn't, right? So he doesn't. Who does? The lower things. So the problem with Christianity is the achdus of it, is the unity of God. So that's sort of more what we're talking about. We're not talking about that God exists. That's given. That's a given. We're not having a conversation in Tanya here if you believe that there's a creator or not. Because if you don't believe that you're an idiot. I'm not wasting my time with you, because it's really not a logical argument. Oh, so I was getting back to what Jesse Jacobson. So he says, so why do people say they don't believe in God? Because if you say you believe in God properly, then God is perfect. You don't believe in a human being, you believe in God. Then you believe in God, and perfection means everything has a purpose. That means you have a purpose, I have a purpose, everyone has a purpose. So if I have a purpose, I have a mission. That's co-definition of purpose is mission, right? If you're missionless, you're purposeless. That means I can't just spend my life doing whatever I feel enjoyable, because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. It's a lot easier to say there's no God, there's no command, there's no mission. I can do whatever I want.
I think one of the things that people feel sometimes, I think we see it also in Israel a lot. People believe in God, but they also maybe think, but maybe he's not there all the time.
But that goes to the belief of Achdus Havaya, the unity of God. Because by definition, God is, we're learning here, nothing has changed. He is the same God. If you believe he's not there all the time, don't believe in him.
Yeah.
Don't.
It's idolatry to believe he's not there all the time.
Yes, that's exactly what this chapter is about. Because otherwise, I could do an avir.
Yeah.
I mean, I can steal. I don't put on tefillin. Why? Because I still believe in God. Like my wife told me this. In South America, Latin people, they're all going around with crosses. They're very welcome with the symbol of faith, but they're killing, they're cheating, they're doing everything else. What happened to that symbol?
Drugs.
Huh?
Running drugs.
Running drugs man has to make a living. Eh?
All the Kardashians and the celebrities, they also wear all.
Oh yeah, all right.
All of them.
So but what happened? Why? Because Manish Friedman, by the way, another great quote of his, he says there's 3 principal beliefs in the world. He calls it. He says the way they approach the relationship with God and man. One religion believes that there's God time and there's human time. I don't bother you, you don't bother. As long as I'm not doing anything to hurt another person, I'll live my life. I'll do basically what I want, and then I'll come check in with you whenever you want, right? Then there's another religion that believes that everything's about God. And there is no humanity and enjoying yourself, or whatever it is. If it's not to God, it's heresy and has to be absolutely obliterated and eradicated. Then there's the third religion, which believes there's God and there's human beings, and our job is to try to integrate. The first one is Christianity, and they go to church on Sunday, right? Monday through Saturday, what do? How do they live godly throughout the week?
They work.
Nothing, right? As long as you're not stealing and not hurting somebody, you're there's God time, there's my time, and that's it, right?
But in many ways, these things that they do become their God.
Right, that's another thing, right? Didn't you have the Islam, or fanatical Islam, or the Taliban? They just outlawed women singing. They just outlawed they outlawed mixed martial arts also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's too violent. And these guys, the chutzpah these people have, the people that they're beheading people, they're saying mixed martial arts too. How do they get away with that? How do they even say it and crack up? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
In Judaism also, women cannot really sing, right? Or a
They
man
could
cannot
sing.
hear a woman
That's
sing.
something else. Well, the whole question of is it one woman or is it a group of women is okay? Whatever. Let's not get into it. But anyway, no, it's a long discussion. But the point is, the problem begins when we start thinking, God is watching, God's not. What do you mean God's not here? If you think about it, it's idolatry. It's an imperfect belief in God, which allows the person to sin. If you believe in God properly, you won't sin, or you'll do on the positive. You'll do whatever God wants. It's that simple. I know it's always the question is, are you conscious of it or not?
It's a consciousness thing.
That's it. Are you present of mind? So this is why it's what Chabad is. Chabad means Chachma b'Radas. Chapter 12. The mind rules over the heart. Are you controlled by your heart? You're controlled by your mind. If you're controlled by your mind, that you think about before you do something. You think, should I be doing this? If God's standing here, does this go against the belief in God? Yes or no? If you think, when you break it down, it sounds very simple. Not living the human experience. It's not. Why? Because our emotional part is very, very strong and tends to tug us. But ultimately, if you have your priorities straight, it's easy. Okay, let's go. Let's finish the chapter. It's already 9:27. But because it's Thursday, it's 10 o'clock, the lights are going to turn off. But that's why I have it here. Okay. Well, the mashal, for example, and over here, the Alter Rebbe is talking about how little impact the creation of the world had on God. Well, the mashal, for example, just like the soul of a man. When he speaks one thing, one word, or one sentence. This one sentence is totally zero compared to your ability to speak. Your ability to speak comes from your soul. And your speech is a pathway to express what's going on inside. That's not the true you. How do I know? Your words change. The fact is, now we're in election season. You got candidates saying things that we know are not true. They know it's not true. You can say speaking is cheap. You can say whatever you want. Which is the soul's middle garment. You remember going back to chapter 4. There's the soul. There's the soul's 10 character traits, 3 intellectual, 7 emotional, and then you have the 3 ways that these character traits are expressed. Number 1, the thought, which is the closest to the soul. Then number 2, speech. Number 3 is action. So number 2 is speech. This just shows you how far away from the true you it really is.
So the b'chinat levush ha'emtza'i, the middle garment, is considered the speech.
Yeah, machshava, thought, dibur, speech. Yeah. Okay. So sheyachal daber dvarim lein case v'tachlis. You can speak forever, because speaking doesn't tire you out. Speaking publicly, because you have to broadcast your voice, but you could sit and talk on the phone, right? Forever. V'chol shechen obviously over here doesn't mean forever, literally. V'chol shechen and for sure legabi b'chinas levush pnimi shelo shel machshava. So one sentence compared to your ability to speak is 0. Right? One sentence compared to your ability, and that's again, your ability to speak is a lower faculty. Your ability to think, what's one sentence? You can think even if you can speak, you can think. In fact, your thinking never turns off. That's why you dream. Right? And where do words come from? Words come from your thought. And the life of your words, you think of, you say what's on your mind. And it's not even necessary to say that this one sentence that you said, on God's case, 33 sentences, the creation of the world. I told you. 1 second. Pause. Ta-da. And this and it's not even necessary to say that this one sentence is totally zero, nothing compared to your soul, which is the source material for your thoughts, for your speech. Right? Regarding the compared to the essence and entity of the soul, so you have the soul, and you have the 10 character traits, and only then you get to the three garments. So this sentence compared to your chachma bin adas, your thought, intellect, and your thought, speech. Your wisdom, understanding, and knowledge.
Does it have any connection to the garment we're building for ourselves in the Bashamayim? From the mitzvot that we're doing?
That's something else. That's something else.
Connected.
No, that because it says when a person passes away, they benefit from the mitzvot, from the mitzvah we did in the previous class, the parsha class we had before. Mitzvah creates but you have to have a way to experience it.
Yeah.
So the mitzvot we do are giving us the ability to experience Hashem Zer. That's what it is. But here we're talking about the expression of the soul. From the soul, so you have the soul, you have the intellectual capacity, you have the thought, then you have, which gives life to the power to speak, which gives you this one sentence. This one sentence going back to what it is. Because you think in language, you think in words. Just like you speak. Actually, but thought we think is so great. But thought is more spiritual. But thought is not even the real you. The proof is you change what you think. The real you can't change. You can't change your character, right? And you definitely can't. You can't change your soul. But the 10 attributes, the 10 characters of your soul, the 3 intellectual, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Which are the sheish makar machshava, which are the root and source of thought. There is no, in your intellect, in your power to think. Is there letters there? Is there language in there? You think in language, but the language is not your intellect. Because thinking is an expression. We're just going back to chapter 4. Thinking is an expression of you to you. Yes.
The language is the way to express the thought.
To yourself. When you are
To other people.
no, you can't express
through the thought.
that's speech. Speech is expression of thought to other people.
I see what you're saying.
Thinking is an expression of yourself to yourself. Right? Let's say if I ask you, what do you think? I don't know. You have to think it through. You're expressing yourself to yourself. So you're thinking in language. But in your power of thought, your power of intellect, there's no language, no letters there. It's an idea. Right? 1 + 1 equals 2 is an idea. It's not 2 apples. You don't have 2 apples in your head. It's an idea, right? Now you can say 1 + 1. You can say 1 por 1, eins und noch ein eins, right? It's not the words. It's the idea. So in your power of intellect, there are no letters. They lack the element of thoughts. The letters the words only come out later. Lamashal, for example, on 279 in the old print. Lamashal, for example, let's say, for example, right? You went to Israel, you went to Bulgaria, the place they don't speak English. The place they don't speak English, right? Do you think they know the concept of ice cream over there? I'm sure they do. But they don't speak English. Right? If you ask me, Rabbi, do you want sladolel? Right? I have no idea. Is it sladolel? Is it ICE? No, it's ice cream. So it says, Lamashal, because you know, so when a man suddenly becomes conscious of a certain love, a desire in his heart. Before it goes into the from the heart into the mind to think about it. How do I do it? How do I go about it? Maybe I tell you, I really want some ice cream. But the concept that you like ice cream is imprinted in your brain. I love ice cream. I love vanilla. I love pistachio. No, obviously not. right? It's there in concept. There are no letters. Only he has an affinity towards that concept. Now, how do you know that I like it? I tell you.
It's like I like a burger. It's visualized for you. You're trying to say, right?
Yeah, the burger is.
The concept of I like a burger. It looks nice. It's just
So before I tell you why I like a burger and how am I going to go about getting the burger, all those are secondary steps of the concept
of that visual thing.
of that, or that the concept that's in your head. I mean, the concept is not is beyond words. What the author was trying to point over here is how insignificant speech is to you. When you think about who you are and your abilities and how insignificant one sentence or 33 sentences, whatever it is, to you, same thing is, I mean, and how you haven't changed because your essence is not speech. Speech is only one method, the way we express ourselves. Right? If a person can't speak, do we execute him? Because if you can't speak, you're only half a human being. Obviously not. The person that can do tremendous things, right? Helen Keller, right?
My cousin.
Helen Keller is your cousin?
No, also my cousin. Itzik.
Oh, right. No, but Helen, he's unfortunately he's disabled. Say, but a person, let's say, has is lacking a sense, right? That can't speak, for example. We don't say the person is any less of a human being because they just have one less way to express themselves, right? There was a story that was one of the living terrors. This kid came. Oh, the parent came to the Rebbe and said the kid wasn't expressing himself and everything else, and they told the parents that you had to put your kid in a home, something. You can't go to a regular school. The Rebbe said narishkeit. The Rebbe called the kid over, gave him a pen and paper, and the kid started writing. The kid couldn't speak. I think he was autistic or something, but not even really, slightly or something. And the kid started writing, So because that's only one method of speech. It doesn't take away who, let's say, for example, get a little political here, right? Was Barack Obama a better president because he could speak better, and George Bush a worse president because he could speak worse?
No, we see
So that doesn't define you. It's just the way you express yourself. See, now, the author is going to continue this idea in the next chapter also. The Eibishter, Hashem, created the world through a throwaway paragraph. Just like a throwaway paragraph is nothing to us, it's nothing to him. Nothing has changed him. Let's finish up the chapter.
Wait, this is the juice of the class.
Yeah.
Is this the point?
Yeah.
That, because I until now was under this impression that we're trying to learn how much you can do with 33 words, or with a paragraph, and the amount of impact that we potentially could have, also by not speaking. Sometimes by being quiet, right? Working on our.
That wasn't the point. You're making a good point, but the idea of the class is to us the world is a big deal, right? And the world's a very big place. So I'm hiding here, I'm doing my thing, and God's over there, right? Which is the source of why we do things wrong and why we don't do things right. What the Alter was trying to say over here is, to you it's a big deal. So we gave
it takes to open the seed the same way as to putting it together with your wife.
But no, it's less. It's nothing. We gave the example last week of, let's say you have a teacher who goes over to a kid and says, "Oh wow, you draw very nicely," and 40 years, 50 years later, they ask the guy, what inspired you to go into art? Oh, I had a teacher in 3rd grade that said I drew very nicely. If you would go over to that teacher and say, "Do you remember you told this kid?" He probably wouldn't remember, because to him it was just a stupid sentence. But for the kid, it's the world. So to us, it's a big deal that God said it, and it's very important for us that God said it. But sometimes we betray the Eibishter. We don't do what he asks, or God forbid we do what he says asks not to. Why? Because we are immersed in the immensity of the great world, and God doesn't care, or whatever it is. And Mr. Albert was saying, no, what are you talking about? God, nothing's changed, he's still here. Creating the world is a throwaway. Like I used this line I heard from another rabbi. If you were writing a resume about God, creating the world wouldn't make it on. That's how insignificant it is. It's all right. It wouldn't be an asterisk. Let's finish the chapter. So the chol shechein for sure koydem shenaflo ha'taiva v'chemda belibo yidloisu davar. Before he had a feeling in his heart of craving for this thing. He only had the ability, right? You're not thinking about ice cream right now, right? There are other pleasurable things you're not thinking about until but chocolate chip cookies, whatever it is, whatever pleasurable thing you can think of. The concept, the content. You didn't forget about chocolate chip cookies because you didn't think about it. It's still in there. But it's whatever. It's so. But just because, so your ability to say I want chocolate chip cookie, that's totally irrelevant or negated by your ability. He knows about this delightful object, or this intellectual object to think about it and be connected to it. Going, for example, to learn something nice. Intellectual concept, or to eat something nice, only after the desire and craving is descended into his heart, and he thinks to himself, you know what, I could use right now a burger. Right? The desire for the burger, I mean, the love for the burger was already there. Only now it became expressed. And now the author is giving us a physiology lesson. You have the concept of burger. And then in the heart says, you know, I want a burger. Now what happens? Now you got to think, okay, how am I going to get a burger? It's late, maybe I want to go, right? So the concept is in your brain. The desire is in your heart. But then it has to go back up to your head to think, should I, shouldn't I? How, yeah. So after it goes up from a level of mayach, lachshav, to think, and to contemplate, to ponder, how to bring it out from. Right? So we're talking about in the previous class. A guy wants to eat chazer, wants to eat pork. Right? What the terrorist tells you, I'm not asking you not to want to eat pork. That's the fact that you want. What I'm asking you is when the desire comes into your blood, you know, I want to eat pork. Your brain should say no. I'm saying that's what happens. So sometimes what happens that the guy comes and he wants something, it goes up to his brain, so he has to think. He said, how am I going to eat this, or how am I going to go about studying it, and everything else. So only at this point, last page, 280 in the old print. At this point, then he starts thinking in my head, you know, should I? Sometimes he speaks to himself, right? Should I? Shouldn't I? But the same concept is going on inside. Then it takes the form of letters. And he thinks ice cream in America, you know, swaldera, whatever it is in that tongue, and he thinks about it. But again, this concept is, although we're finished the chapter here, the concept continues for chapter 21 and chapter 22. The idea of how it's significant the power of speech is, or not power of speech. Words are how it's significant is to the power of speech, the power of thought, the content, the concept, right? There's a whole process until you get it. And so to us, it makes a big difference. But the Eibishter, so the Eibishter is everywhere. Nothing's changed. So in reality, he's next to us. He's with us all the time. So you want to be conscious of it, or you want to, so to speak, have him turn his back. All right, guys, good week. And B'Shem, we'll continue next week. Let me know if